Hi, I'm Barry Taylor from Equip for Equality, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the Americans with Disabilities Act. People with disabilities, including older Americans who have a physical, sensory, cognitive, or mental impairment, are covered by the Americans with Disabilities Act. It's also known as the ADA. The ADA prohibits discrimination on the basis of physical or mental disability. And by passing the ADA, Congress recognized that a substantial segment of the American population was continuing to be excluded from all facets of life. Now, the ADA is divided up into 5 sections. The first one, Title I, covers employment. The second one covers public services, which includes state and local government services, as well as public transportation. The third section, Title III, covers public accommodations, which is just a fancy name for private businesses open to the public. Then there's Title IV, which covers telecommunications. And finally, there's Title V, which is a miscellaneous section that includes claims for retaliation for exercising your rights under the ADA. So what is a disability under the ADA? Well, in order to be covered by the ADA, a person must fit into one of the following 3 categories. First, a person can be covered by the ADA if they have a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or more major life activities. For example, a person who uses a wheelchair is substantially limited in the major life activity of walking. Another way to be covered by the ADA is if you are a person with a record of a physical or mental impairment. So for instance, a person who has cancer in the past but now, after treatment, is cancer-free. Well, if their employer then refuses to hire the person because of that past impairment, the person is still protected by the ADA based on the person's record of an impairment. Another way a person can be covered by the ADA is if they are regarded as having an impairment. This would include a person with no impairment at all, but one who is thought incorrectly by the employer to have an impairment. For example, an employee who's fired because it is falsely rumored that he is HIV positive is somebody who could bring a claim under the regarded as portion of the ADA. Now let's move on to talking about what is an impairment under the ADA. Remember, the ADA covers both physical and mental impairments. The mental impairments aren't just limited to mental illness, but it would also cover intellectual disabilities and learning disabilities. Remember, advanced age in and of itself is not considered a disability. However, medical conditions usually associated with aging, such as hearing loss, osteoporosis, or arthritis, would be impairments. Now let's move on to what is a major life activity. A major life activity is a basic function that the average person in the general population can perform with little or no difficulty. Some examples of major life activities include caring for oneself, performing manual tasks, seeing, hearing, eating, sleeping, walking, standing, lifting, speaking, breathing, learning, reading, thinking, and working. Also, major life activities include major bodily functions like the immune system, normal cell growth, digestive, bowel, bladder, neurological, brain, respiratory, circulatory, endocrine, and reproductive functions. Now let's talk about substantial limitation. Congress made clear that substantial limits is to be construed broadly in favor of expansive coverage under the ADA. Generally, you don't consider the effects of mitigating measures like medication or hearing aids when determining whether someone is substantially limited. The only exceptions are ordinary eyeglasses and contact lenses. Also, an impairment that's episodic or in remission, like cancer or mental illness, is a disability if it would substantially limit a major life activity when active. The ADA also protects people discriminated against simply because they associate with people with disabilities, like by being their friend, their parent, spouse, business associate, advocate, or caregiver. For example, if a woman isn't hired after the employer learns that the person's daughter has cystic fibrosis and then doesn't hire her because of fear that she will miss a lot of work to care for her daughter, that woman would be covered by the ADA under the association section, even though she does not herself have a disability. So that's an overview of the ADA. For more information about the ADA, you can go to several places. First, the United States Department of Justice website at ada.gov, or the Equal Employment Opportunities Commission's website at eeoc.gov. And finally, you can go to our website at equipforequality.org. Thank you.